Hey yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk, guys. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in this episode of World of Tanks. We got something kind of interesting here. It's a brand new premium, and that's not really the interesting part. The interesting part is how you get this brand new premium, which is something new. And the way you get it is through Twitch Prime, which if you have Amazon Prime, you're already a member of Twitch Prime. And you may have Twitch Prime anyway because you like watching people play video games. And if you have Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime, which gives you Twitch Prime, and you link that account to your World of Tanks account, you can have the King Tiger 2 captured, which is not a Tier 8 premium, but is a Tier 7, kind of mostly stock King Tiger 2. This is a really interesting situation. We'll talk about it on this review. How it works as a Tier 8 hull, basically, down tiered to Tier 7 with most of its Tier 8 attributes and a worse gun really than the Tier 8, at least the top configuration with the 320 Alpha. You don't have that, you got a 240 Alpha, but we will talk about all of that as we go. Standard for my reviews, we'll have an overview, look at the tech tree and the considerations. It's a premium, so we're really going to concentrate on the crew training. By the way, this is an American premium. That's interesting. Captured, right? The Americans captured it, so it's in the American tech tree. I like that. Adds a little bit of flavor to the game. There's a couple other instances of this in the game. It makes the game a little bit more interesting, a little bit more complicated. Pretty cool. But we'll talk about the tech tree as far as the crew goes for the Americans. We'll look at the 3D model, how the armor holds up. We'll do a comparison amongst its peers. Look at my stats and my setup, and then I've got 3 gameplay examples for the King Tiger 2C captured Tier 7 American German vehicle premium tank. All right, let's get started. For the overview, we are going to actually start with how you get this thing really quickly. If you go to the main landing page for World of Tanks North America, there is, under the news, claim care package Echo with Twitch Prime. Now, you go to that link, you go to that page, and click grab your loot. It will step you through the way to do that. So we're not gonna do that, but it does give you the captured King Tiger, a 3D customized style, a crew, and a garage slot. Standard thing for a premium, except for it actually has a 3D customization style. The cool thing about that is that can actually be removed, I believe, and you can put your own camo on the tank. So that's a little bit new as well. As it says, you need to be a Twitch Prime member. You need to have your wargaming.net and Twitch accounts linked. If you go through that link up above, it'll show you how to do all that stuff. Then you go to the offer page and claim it. If you are familiar with Twitch, you've probably seen this, especially if you're a Twitch Prime member, how you grab the care packages. It can be a little wonky. Just make sure you're going through all the steps that it asks and that your accounts are linked. Sometimes they will delink, so you'll have to deal with that. It's not obvious either at all times that it has done that. If you claim it once, there's no need to reclaim it. Basically, what you have here is a permanent rental for as long as you have Twitch Prime and it's linked to your wargaming.net account, then this will be in your garage. If it is unlinked or you do not have Twitch Prime anymore, then the crew will be kicked out. The customized skin will be taken off. I don't know why, because you can't put it on anything else as far as I'm aware of. And then you will still have the tank, but it will be shaded out as a rental would be, and you're not going to be able to play it. That's the bottom line there. There's other care packages coming. So far, they've had a lot of good stuff in them. So if you're a Twitch kind of person, recommend the Prime if you want to get a lot of little extra goodies there. All right, that's my shill for the day. And then there's some missions that come with it for extra XP. This is kind of interesting because it's battle experience and it's a premium. So it doesn't seem to really go to your crew. It seems to just sit on your tank. Very strange, but whatever. All right, so let's go back to the general overview stuff. All right, so much like Seinfeld, what is the deal with a captured tank? All right, so that's what it is. During World War II, all sides used captured enemy armored vehicles, painting them to the standard colors of their army as soon as possible and applying clearly visible markings to minimize the risk of friendly fire. There's more to the history of this tank. They actually don't know what happened to it. There's some historical pictures of it with the American crew. Basically, they captured more or less intact, sent it back to a mobile depot, got it running again, and used it for a while. Unknown what for or how long. Maybe some of the historians out there might know a little bit more information on it. That's why it happens to be in the American tech tree, or on the American side. All right, so it's a big tank, but interestingly, most of the Tier 7 heavies are pretty large and similar size. I'd say the IS series is about the smallest. King Tiger's pretty big. You've got the T29 that's massive. KB3 is big. Tiger P. Just look, even the Black Prince, which seems small, is pretty darn big. Lower profile on it. Of course, you got the Fantasy tank is ridiculous. The AMX M4 MLE 45 seems pretty large, but it's actually a little bit smaller. But big billboard side, lots of tracks, really wide tracks, good for eating HE and heat. It's got the standard German angled armor up front, at least the late war angled armor, but not really well angled. It's got some, but not a lot. Very large lower plate. Flat glacis on the front. Is that a glacis? I don't know. Flat armor, let's put it that way, on the front of the turret. A decently armored mantlet, but it's quite small. So this little area here is very easy to pin. It's got that angled turret. This is pretty easy to pin depending on the caliber. And then it's got an angled turret here, but once you start to flat plate it, really not much armor right there. And of course the sides, not a lot going on either. Pretty standard. You've seen this setup in the Tiger 2s that have been running around the game since the very beginning. And then the weak spot on the hatch up on the top as well. You can angle this thing. We'll talk about that when we get to that area. That will increase the usefulness of this armor, and I believe then a weak spot on the machine gun there as well if you want to try to take that pinpoint shot. And that's pretty much it for the overview. We'll move on to the tech tree considerations. For tech tree considerations, it's obviously got all the modules unlocked as it is a premium, but it is a mess as far as crew training goes. There's two heavy lines, or at least two ways to get to a heavy. One only has one heavy in it. That's the T57 line. That's mediums and lights and whatnot until you get to the T57. More or less, that's the auto loader line for the Americans. That's a 4-crew tank, I believe, in there. So it'll work for that. You can see on the right here, it's got a commander, gunner, driver, radio operator, loader. One of the few Tier 8s actually still lugging around a radio operator. Once you get to Tier 8 and Tier 9, a lot of the radio operators are soaked into other positions in the more modern kinds of tanks. But as this was a World War II design, it's got a separate radio operator. Not that that's necessarily automatic, but that's kind of what it seems like happens there. Anyway, tangent time over. If you look at the T1 Heavy, which is we're starting at Tier 5 here. Remember, the Tier 4 on this line is actually a medium tank. We have a commander, gunner, driver, radio operator, loader, so 2 gunners. Not really a great trainer for that. You're going to have an extra gunner, but you're probably not using your premium to train your Tier 5 crew. Still, as you move crews through, this is something you've got to deal with. Be careful about getting rid of your radio operator because you're going to need it for the King Tiger. Maybe you throw that radio operator, if you ever lose him, into the King Tiger and he sits there for all these other tanks that you may want to use crews on. This is going to require a lot of fiddling with crews, though. If you're the kind of person that puts one crew in and then you hit the automatic return, then if you're trying to use multiple crews on your premium, then it doesn't really work very well. But you're probably already dealing with that anyway. Never mind this particular new one that doesn't work that great with it. On the M6, you've got 2 gunners again, a driver, radio operator, loader. You go to the T29. Now we've got, oh good lord, 2 loaders. So we've dropped a gunner and added a loader. That's just something you're going to deal with this in this line anyway. As you can see, it doesn't match up perfectly with your Tiger 2C captured. Same thing here, a driver, 2 loaders. We get into the 103 and you might think, all right, perfect, the Tier 9 and 10 will fit. No, sorry, no such luck. No radio operator and still an extra loader. And we go over here, we have a commander, gunner, driver, loader. At least the T110 E5 is more or less a direct match minus the radio operator. So a decent training device for your 110 E5 crew. Otherwise, you're going to have extra crew members hanging out in the tank while you train the rest of them, getting lonely and feeling wondering why they were left out of all the fun. That's just something you're going to have to deal with. We go over to the T57 Heavy. I said it was 4 crew. I believe that's right. There you go. So that will work as well. Mr. Radio Operator will get lonely. All right. Bit of a mess. You're just going to have to fiddle with it. Let's move on to the 3D model. The 3D model is where this tank starts to get kind of interesting because, as I said, it's a Tier 8 stepped down to Tier 7 with a worse gun and DPM than the Tier 8, but it maintains all of the chassis, basically the mobility of more or less a stock Tiger 2, although the mobility is closer, if not even actually, to the fully upgraded Tiger II. It's the gun where it loses out a lot. But the armor layout and the thickness is exactly the same as the Tier 8. Now, the Tier 8's been power crept into oblivion. It's not very good armor at Tier 8, gets shredded pretty regularly. And a lot of tanks can just press 2 at Tier 6 and 7 and shred it. But now you move it down a tier and it becomes a little bit more effective. We'll look at that as we get into the comparison. I'm actually using the regular Tiger II model because it is the same whole model as the upgraded, or as the, sorry, Tier 8 Tiger II. And I could not find the Tiger II-C in tanks.dg. It may be designated a Tiger II-H, but we'll just leave it at that, and that's why I'm using the Tiger II here. There's always going to be somebody who notices me doing something like that, so I thought I'd just nip it in the bud. We look at it then with the live model, which changes the colors as you turn it around, and so you can see the effectiveness of the angles. Not really great, right? 205 upper plate, really big lower plate at 158. There's a lot of stuff that's going to get above that, and then pressing 2, a lot of 6s and 7s are going to have no trouble going through that by pressing 2 if they have low pin to begin with. A lot of times just regular ammo is going to go right through, especially that lower plate. Get any kind of look up on them and it gets worse and worse. 136, obviously the upper angle gets more, but as you start to side scrape a little bit, you can tell that you can get some pretty good angles. There's the auto bounce angle on the side, and then you've increased the front a little bit, but not great. You really want to avoid exposing this. The turret is far enough forward that you don't have to expose too much of your low plate, and you got some really nice big tracks to eat the heat and HE and some other things like that. So you should be able to, actually, can I actually do this? I'm sure there's a way to turn the turret. Yeah, there we go. Whoa! All right, so now I've goobered all that up. Anyway, that's my lesson on side scraping for you right there. Don't screw it up, all right, folks? Okay, there we. Oh, jeez. My advice to you is to not drive into battle in this configuration. All right, unless you have to go backwards, I suppose. But anyway, you can see that you get some auto bounce angles on the turret as well. But the weird shape of it, once you start to flat plate it at all, it's just there's nothing there. The side is very easy to pin down below, and it's got a good mantlet, pretty much 186. Not amazing, but good. The back is terrible. Obviously, don't drive backwards into battle. But there you go. Bit of a disaster, but you get the picture. It's a Tiger II hull, all right? I mean, it's been around forever, so there's nothing new going on there other than it gets shifted down to Tier 7, which means what? Which means it can see Tier 5s, and that is actually kind of interesting. And Tier 6s. I didn't see a lot of 5s, I don't think, but I did see a lot of 6s. Can you see 5s? See, this is where I may be out of my depth down in the lower tiers. I'm not sure it can even see 5s. Anyway, let's move on. This is the authoritative expert here, all right? So just let's move on. Where were we? We're on the comparison. You see the King Tiger C on the left, a bunch of Tier 7s, to include the T-29, which is the American buddy in the stable there. The IS-2M, which is another fairly recent Tier 7 premium, and the standard IS out there. I've also got the Tiger P, 4503, which is a Tier 7 premium that the Germans already had, which is quite similar. And I've got the Tiger II up there just for comparison. Remember, the Tiger II is a Tier 8. We'll see what the differences are between that and the Tiger II-C as we go through this. All of these are set up with 100% crew, no equipment, no skills or perks or food or any other bonuses, and all of the camo stripped off, and I believe all these could have it stripped off. Sometimes you can't because it's inherent in the model of the vehicle, but I believe camo comes off all of these. So, as I said earlier, it's a Tier 8 step down to Tier 7 with kind of the stock gun. It's got a 240 Alpha instead of the top gun, as you can see with the Tiger II over here, which gets up to a 320 Alpha gun. Penetration is 203, which is reasonable, not as bad as the IS series, known as having really bad base penetration, and pretty good. A little bit higher even than the T-29, which is a pretty punchy gun at Tier 7. And even with the rest of the Tiger series here, the Tiger P, the Tiger 1, the VK4503. So good penetration right off the bat. Rate of fire is decent, better than a T-29. Worse than a Tiger 1, but a Tiger 1, we go down here and we learn, has probably the best DPM at Tier 7 of heavies. I believe it is the best DPM, and it's head and shoulders above. The King Tiger C is at 1700, and that's pretty low. The Tiger II, a tier above, is at 1926, which was sort of interesting. You actually take a step down going from the Tiger to Tiger 2, DPM-wise. T29 is at 1757, comparable. And the IS series at 1900, also interesting, but comparable to the VK4503. I think the most direct corollary here to this tank is the VK4503, with a couple interesting differences in there. Reload time is 8.15, right in the middle of the pack. Not as long as the IS and the T29, which seem to take forever to reload, but not as quick as the Tiger 1. With some food, rammer, vents, things like that, you can really get that knocked down to a pretty fast reload, very comfortable. Traverse speed is low. The turret, much like the Tiger 1 and the regular Tiger 2, is quite slow to turn around. And it looks like most of these are the same way. The IS series is pretty quick at 29, but you will notice at 20 degrees a second that it's a noticeably slow turret. You're going to have a hard time swinging it around and getting those snaps on things if you're not ready for it. -8 degrees gun depression is okay. Not as comfortable as -10 like the T29, but certainly much better than -6. -8 will allow you to use most of the terrain in the map, minus the real serious hold down positions. So no worries there. The aim time is good at 2.4. Let's move this up. It's good at 2.4. Not as nice as the 4503, and this is the big difference for me between these two tanks. I'm going to come down by saying right now that I like the 4503 better than the King Tiger C, and I just think the gun's more comfortable with a 2.1 aiming time and a dispersion of 0.32, whereas the King Tiger C is at 2.4 and 0.35. You've got the Tiger 1 at 2.59 and 0.33, and I'm going to tell you that the Tiger 1 feels more comfortable than the King Tiger 2C. The Tiger P is kind of the distant cousin. It's in the middle of those, not quite as good, but it's always been lagging behind the rest of its buddies there. If you look at the regular Tiger 2 at 2.4 and 0.3, same aim time, but better dispersion, so more accurate once all the way zoomed in. Of course, there's the big derpy T29 at 0.4. I didn't realize it was that bad. That's just horrendous, isn't it? I don't know how many people snipe with a T29, though. They usually get hold down somewhere nearby, medium range to close and start pounding. And, of course, the IS series with the... Did I say the T29 was atrocious? The IS series are beyond atrocious at 0.43 and 4.4. But they're carrying a better DPM, right? The T29 has that huge turret with a lot of depression. King Tiger's a tier 8, so we're not going to worry about that. The Tiger P might be slightly worse than the King Tiger. A little bit better on armor in some situations. We'll get that in just a minute. I think the Tiger 1's just playing better. That DPM right there. And the 4503 just has a better gun with slightly worse armor, is what I would say about its combat capability. Hit points at 1300. That's on the low side of all these guys, interestingly enough. T29 at 1250. That's bizarre to me. It's a massive big old tank, and he's at 1250. But these, once we get to hit points, those are really massaged more for balance than historical accuracy. And of course, hit points aren't historical, so you get what I'm saying. There's probably some calculations or thought given to durability and things like that, the frequency of stuff getting damaged, but it's also a nod to tiering and game balancing. So it's sitting at 1300, which is pretty low, which is interesting because its buddy, which basically it's the same tank, a tier above, is at 1600. Again, this is a balancing kind of thing. All right, so the whole armor, this is where this tank gets really interesting, sort of. And I thought, the first time I heard about it and the hull was going to be the same, I thought, wow, this is going to be a real beast armor-wise at tier 7. And I will say it's good, but it's not a real beast. It's better than the tier 2, the Tiger 2 at tier 8, but it is not that much better that I went, wow, that's amazing. All right, so yes, it's better, but it's not wow better. So 150 on the hull. Turrets 185, 80 on the sides, 80 on the rear. VK4503 is just plain old worse armor, and that's really not known for its armor. It can angle like I've talked about, but it's more of a sniper and machine gunner, really, than the King Tiger. That's where the King Tiger is better than it in the armor, but that's about it. Tiger 1 has much worse armor, and it's flat-plated, unlike at least the 4503 is angled. There's a lot of flat-plate Tiger armor, but it makes up for that by all the DPM and shots going down range. Tiger P, a lot more armor, but again flat-plated and kind of a weird configuration and lots of weak spots to pick out. on that one. There's the Tiger 2 Tier 8's the same thing. T29, there's that massively good turret armor for its hold down fighting capability there. And then the IS's, yeah, their armor's not great either, not really known for their armor as well. They're known for the big stick with the 390 Alpha. Coming down to mobility, 700 horsepower is pretty standard across the board here. Some of them have a little bit more. Specific power is low, but not terrible there. And the top speed is 38. So 38 is 38, and it has 38 at Tier 8. The 4503 has 38. The Tiger 1's slightly fat. They're all slow, right? Every one of these. And it's actually near the top end. So as far as once it gets up to speed and starts going, it actually does a pretty nice job of zipping along. But the traverse speed is horrendous. Add that to the fact that the turret traverse is bad, and you do have a hard time getting circling guys like wheeled tanks. Even while turning the hull and the turret at the same time, you're going to struggle a lot of times to keep your gun online with those guys. Once you get into the 30s, like you have for the IS and the IS-2M, you add your hull traverse, you really can swing your gun around pretty good. But just atrocious turret capability, really, overall. What else we got? We got concealment. It just doesn't, right? It's not. You're not concealing this thing from anybody at all. And the view range is at 380, which is reasonable. And compared to the ISs, which are just terrible at Tier 8 at 350, they're nearly blind for a Tier 8. 380 is pretty good, pretty darn good at that tier. And you'll notice that the King Tiger 2 at Tier 8 actually has 10 more, probably more of a balancing decision than anything right there. All right, so that's the comparison. Let's look at how I did in 20 battles. All right, I played 20 battles. I got a 60% win rate, low sample size. That could easily be 40% with just a little bit of unluck or just being bad for a couple games where I was decent. So 60%, take that with a grain of salt. I think it's a 55 to 60% tank for me at Tier 7. Battle survived at 35%. Hits at 73, a little bit low. And we'll talk about that when we get to a couple other tanks as I compare it. 960 on the average XP per battle is good. Anytime I can approach 1,000, I'm pretty happy with that. Destruction ratio 2.08, damage 1.27, which is a little bit low. That was interesting. Look at the armor efficiency at 0.5. Anytime you're getting to a armor efficiency of 1, that's a nicely armored tank. 0.5 is a situational okay tank. Once you get down to 0.2 and less than that, 0.25 really has not much armor and you're relying on lucky bounces. But a 0.5 means in some cases it's managing to get some bounces pretty regularly. But it's not amazing at 1.0 or approaching 1.0. 1,469 on the average damage. Received 1,165, so I am taking a lot of damage in this thing. And damage caused with assistance at 320. Low vehicle spotted, that's a good thing. Maybe slightly high for a heavy. I tend to get forward a lot more than I should in nearly every tank I drive. It's just the way I play the game. And 1.35 is relatively low on vehicles destroyed. I never really had a breakout game with it. The max I did with 2,630 with 3 kills, so that's really pretty low. But the T29, this is a tank that I've had for a long time. And I'm surprised I've only played 145 battles in it. Basically unlocked it, played it here and there over the years. But 57% and 754 is fairly low experience, but that is partially because of how early in my career I played this thing. But if we looked at its damage, it's at 1252, slightly lower. 417, more assist, 75% on the hit rate. Now let's go down to the Tiger at 58%, and a lot of battles, 914, 883 on the average experience. A comparable damage per game, DPG at 1471, but look at the hits are starting to creep up at 76.31. Just has a more accurate, better gun. 1.32 on the damage is pretty close, but this destruction's a bit higher. Look at the armor efficiency at 0.25. So much lower. That tank just has worse armor. The T29, for example, is at 0.49 because if you play it hold down, you're going to get those bounces. So that's pretty good there. We look at the Tiger P. It's at 1352. That's comparable. 251 lower on the assist, and then 77% hits. And then check this out. 66% win rate and 111 battles in the 4503. 82% hit rate. The gun's just better, which is why I end up liking the 4503 a bit more. And the armor efficiency is at 0.24, so this is more of a situational lucky bounce kind of tank. Vice being a more armored tank like the Tiger 2C would be, at least compared to the 4503, and a 1695 on damage caused. So that is how I did on it. Let's see what I did for my setup. I would say the setup is pretty standard. obviously top modules. We've got vents, we've got a rammer, and we are running the gun laying drive. There are other options in there you might want to think about. The gun laying drive is not great. It cannot run a vert stab, so you're out of luck as far as that goes. Coated optics may be an option here. Toolbox potentially. Spall liner if you feel like you get RD'd a bunch, but really even a heavy spall liner doesn't do a whole bunch there. So there are a couple other options, not great, so I just went with the GLD. That is more of a two-taste thing there. Personally, I think the GLD is the best thing, but you may have a different opinion. That third slot is open to interpretation. I'm carrying 56 AP, 10 APCR. If we look at the APCR pen, it's 203, goes up to 237, and that's not amazing. That's not amazing. It's better, obviously, but it's a case of the gold pen not being amazingly better than the regular pen, and I've only got 4 HE for resetting, things like that. Carrying large kits and a automatic fire extinguisher. I did not run any directives in this. I did not run food. German tanks, you're taking a risk, especially getting hit frontally for fires, things like that. So be careful. This thing does tend to lose its engine. That's one thing I did notice, and a lot of people are saying the same thing. So you could run food right there, but I think you're really taking a risk with that. But, you know, if you try hard, you never know. Some people may do that and then run your directive with your vent purge or something that gives you more percentage of, gives you a faster reload or whatever, and you could up the capability of the tank with the risk of more fires, things like that. All right, let's move on to examples of gameplay. Here's a bottom tier battle on Ensk, although admittedly there's only 2 tier 9s in the entire game. This is a pretty capable tier 7 when fighting higher tiers. Most of the down-tiered tanks like this are decently capable against the tiers that they exist at normally and the tiers above. This one is no different. It does a pretty good job, and most of it has to do with its armor being able to at least hold up a little bit down here. Now again, not amazing, but able to hold up. So I'm going to, here on Ensk, spawned into the south on encounter. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to start trying to take some shots at the ONI. Put one shot, and that's a regular AP right there. So we're going to switch to APCR, try to get a little more pen, see if we can blap this guy again. No. Interestingly, the APCR bounces, but there you go. I just bounced an M46 KR shot off of the armor. So he's up in there somewhere hiding, can't see him. See the Mod 1 poking around. Looking for a shot. Probably seen by the KR once again, so we'll head off this way. I'm a little bit careless against the KR. I allow him some shots into my side and some other things I probably shouldn't. See, I'm just kind of pointing out. He's looking right at me. I miss right there. Not wanting to eat a shot from the Mod 1, so we'll come out here and see if I can't sneak one into him again. And I bounce him. Holy cow, but we also get a bounce off of him. I bounce him, we get a bounce off of him. He bounces, I bounce. Let's put it that way. Just anchor in this corner. We do have some guys pushed up in there. The ONI, the Tiger 2 is there. I see a guy coming around behind us, the defender, but I'm thinking, well, those guys should be able to handle him. I'm trying to decide whether I want to turn around. We got most of their guys here. I just do a 360. And that was poor decision on my part. The Ferdy, the T-44, the other defender, had to have those guys sorted out, and then I kind of do this, which lets them know I'm here. It lets them know I'm still looking that way. Their Tiger 2 starts wandering off the other way, and then I try to cross, and I'm going to eat a shot right here, and that's unfortunate. I allow that M46 to get a shot on me. He's just sitting there hold down. But these two guys have moved up, and I feel like I need to add some more pressure up here. Help the 2 guys that have them stuffed here come from a different angle and force them to fight us in several directions. It looks to me like this 4502 is not really paying good attention. I knocked down that wall. There we go. So put a shot inside him, and we're able to take down their tier 9, which is a good kill. You have to watch out for the T95 using that dead Hulk, and then we have a Comet come out and he starts shooting, so we get blocked. That goes in the track, doesn't do anything, it's a crit, no damage. We'll side scrape against him, he's not being very wise. Block another one. The T95 now has several guys he's got to fight in several directions. The ONI tries to push around, I believe he dies here pretty soon. The T95 is pulling back, so I use that opportunity to get up here and try to take down the Comet, but he's got several other friends. I know the M46 is back up here as well. The Ripper Patton. There we go. Looking for a shot on this guy. He runs away. Can't overexpose here, but I am now kind of behind him, and I see this Tiger 1. Here's that slow turret. Ugh, get around. There we go. That does expose the side of my turret to him. Unfortunately, the Comet actually misses right there. And we get a shot right into his side. We're able to pin even though he's angled. And we're spamming gold like a boss right now. Bit of an advantage, so I'm going to push in here and see if I can't find some shots on these guys. There's the Mod 1, there's the Tiger P. Tiger P's giving me some side armor. I'm able to sneak one in there. Mod 1's coming around looking for a shot. He can cause me trouble. I'm also worried about shots from the right, but it looks like they've got them sorted out over there. Yeah, I just miss. The Tiger P does pen me, but the Mod 1 gets a crit, no damage. And there's those big tracks. Ripper Patton's making a runner. Oh, and I bounce off him again. That's 2 bounces off the same guy. And now we're really starting to press them in here. Take another shot off of the Tiger P. And that's kind of the bummer with a heavy and a 240 alpha. That finishing power just really isn't there. Guys tend to stick around with a few hit points at 240 alpha. Again, I hit that guy, but I don't kill him. And now I've got the T95, which is just going to munch at the lunch. And down I go. So 2,171. 1,380 blocked, 472 assists. Pretty capable. Got some bounces in there. You know, 1380 is pretty good, but those were mostly against what, the lower tier guys and the lower pen medium kind of guys that were a tier above. So usable armor. Use it right. Little side scraping, a little baiting, all that kind of good stuff, and it will serve you well. It will let you last a little bit longer in the game, but it's probably not going to last when Death Wish 1 comes around the corner and is it Death Wish 11? I can't see. Anyway, the T95 comes around and decides to shoot you. You're probably not going to bounce anything, especially if he's firing APC armor. All right, let's go to the second example. All right, let's go. We just took an arty hit. Just took an arty shot. We're on proc. The last one was a city map, basically. Let's go ahead in a more wide open map and test a little bit of the gun's accuracy. It's a reasonably accurate gun, but not as good as you might think. Not as good as you might think. We're going to go ahead and try to anchor the 5.6 line. There's only one arty, and it's relatively small. So we're going to come up here and try to weather the storm. We're really looking for shots up on the hill if we can get them, or if people are foolish and come zinging by like this EBR FL10, who lives way too long. He goes zinging right back into amongst everyone. He's taking hits, but he's lighting everybody in sight, so I'm going to ignore him. Hopefully the 8 tanks back there, or whatever it is, can take care of him. I get spotted by him, so I'm not able to come up, so I spin around. All right, maybe I will get a shot on this guy. He's starting to irritate me. But no, he won't survive. All those guys will take a shot. No, that goes into the ground. And down he goes finally. All right, so we've got 2 of their scouts out already, which is a good deal on proc. And now we've got dudes up on the hill. So we'll come up here. I make a mistake coming up on the left side. I need to come up over to the right, because I have to come pretty high up over and expose myself before I can get past this building, which is really irritating. Just take one into the general area. But their 705 is pushed into the town. That's really helpful for us, actually, because he's kind of out of the fight. He's just going to sit there, and as long as we don't let him have shots, there's not a whole lot he can do. So I finally get smart and come back around this way. Jay Smelly and his T54. And then we got a T30 way out there. So let's test that long-range accuracy. We'll come up here nice and slow, let this thing zoom in, and bounce, because it hit the top in a nice angle. Maybe should have come up a little bit more and looked for that side shot. We'll do it this time. There we go. Yep, no bounce. So that did not work out. I hit both times. That's the good news. I hit both times, and now I'm fighting this T54. Is in a good spot. I'm trying to see if I can get a shot on this guy. Nope. Not a great shot, though. It was aimed behind him as he was moving forward. They're pretty hull down right there. It's not easy to hit them. Not easy to hit them. There's a little divot up there. I try to get rid of this building because it's in my way. There we go. That gives me more options for shooting. Should be able to get this shot. There we go. Got one in him. For 190, so low roll. You know, 240. I mentioned it already. Not a great to bounce off the Tiger, King Tiger. See? My counterpart up there. 240 is not great. Not for a heavy. It's just, there's no fear factor in a 240 alpha gun. You see it take 190 off someone and you think, wow, all that effort for a 190 hit. A couple bounces off the side of his turret, just hitting bad angles. There's another one. Nothing going on. And I get I get irritated and I press 2. Unfortunately, that's a at-range shot, so who knows what my penetration is at that range. How many meters is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 400 meters or so. So it's going to drop off. Frankly, I don't know if I actually have more pen. But I do get a hit, so there you go. And I get a high roll of 7 more than standard. And we're just working these guys over up here. There we go, another shot into him. The problem with that spot as a King Tiger type of tank is you're so tall, it's hard to hide your hole right there. If you're flat like a Russian medium, you can actually stay below where they can't see you. Even if they see you, right, they won't highlight you, I guess. They won't have a shot. But with a tall tank like that, you're going to have a hard time now. This Centurion 7-1's getting beat up pretty good. And now I'm just spamming gold at long range. I wish I had actually gone back just regular armor. It's the side of his turret. I'm really trying to just fine-tune. Oh, another bounce. Holy cow, just really getting unlucky. That's the flat side of his turret, so I'm either catching the top angle or hitting the gun mantlet or something very strange right there. Maybe into the top of the hole, potentially. See the IS-2 doing this, and I'm thinking I just have just enough depression, and I do just enough depression to come up there and get a shot into his side of his turret and back out, but I do pay for it with the T-44-100 hitting me for 269, which is better than I can do. Nice high roll for 269. I think he's also got a 240 alpha gun. I'm sitting there doing 190, 243, 248, admittedly high rolls. He pops me for 269 from the hill. Decide to switch over here as I see our guys are starting to push into their TDs. We have a pretty good advantage right now, and also now I've got another shot on this guy. A little bit longer range. I'll just shoot it in there. It clearly missed. You see it hit behind him into the dirt. If I go a little bit further this way, if you look at my draw range circle, now I'm out of draw range for their guys on the hill. If I get spotted here a little bit further to the left, I can actually be shot by the guys on the hill. So that's why I head a little bit further over here. This guy's behind some train stuff, but I actually sneak one in on him for a low roll of 233. Fantastic. Up a little bit. He's trying to back out. There we go. There's a high roll, 254. We'll just sit here and whine about the rolls. He's going to get away back there. Just pop one in, see if we get lucky, but it doesn't happen. And unfortunately, our scout died. 432 moved up and got killed by the things that are camping in the back. That T-30 back there is a huge problem. He's going to put a serious hurting on anyone. And there's enough guns left for them to clean you up once he does that. Yeah, they're clicking on the Tiger 1 back there. Everyone's irritated. He's been sitting in the back the whole game. This looked like a win, but it's 6-8 now. And we are behind. Jay Smelly is still chilling out right there. Chilling out. There we go, 7-1. Now let's put some hits on this guy now. There it is, but not enough to kill him off. Right, there's that 240 alpha, and I low roll him to a 227. There's that low alpha just not being able to finish. You got no finish, Tiger 2 captured. No finish. Unfortunately, the IS is still here. What I want to do is fall back, but the stinking IS is right here. Also, there's some shots on these guys. There's the IS again. 240. But leaves him with enough hit points to stay in the game. And they're about to finish off our guys over here on the east, and that's a problem because now this spot is completely compromised. Try to sneak one in on him. I don't know what happened to that. Maybe there wasn't a way to shoot through that, or it actually hit the train. And again, I do it. So it doesn't seem to be getting through there. I don't know if you can actually shoot through there. Had a highlight, so I was either hitting something that was not modeled there or just plain old missed. So now we're going to use these bushes and try to get away, and this is going to get me lit eventually here. Turning the gun around behind because I may have a snap on somebody. Yep, gets me lit. There you go. I'm assuming that was the IS-2 coming up the bush. I was really surprised I didn't take a hit from him. Oh, there we go. That was artillery maybe? I don't know. Probably not. It hit pretty close. That was probably the IS shooting at me. I just used my massive speed to wiggle. You know, that'll throw his shot off because this thing is very quick. So we're going to run back to this corner. Try to hide. I was hoping the Scorpion G would stay on his side. All of a sudden, oh man, now let's do it. And I do take a hit from him, but I'm going to take my time, see if I can put him down. And we do. Fix the engine. And that hurt. 367. That's a big hit. 8.8. Good news is that the T-54 stayed there and was able to keep those guys lit. Had he run away with me, all three of those dudes would have been shooting at me. The Scorpion runs back. I was hoping he would stay there, but I think he actually comes up and out of that here eventually. And it's getting down to the wire now. Tiger 1 and IS are hanging out. The T-44-100 pushes into the Scorpion G. So I decide I'm going to have to come up and over it. For a moment I thought he might be coming up and over here and I might have a shot, but he didn't do it. So we'll head back. I think I come up and over, at least I should. Oh, never mind, I don't, because the T-44, that's right, dies to the Scorpion G. Excuse me. Now we got the JT there. I know the T-30's in the corner, the JT's there. One of the heavies is up on the hill, and that leaves one of them unaccounted for. I'm just hoping I can catch him in this town here, but there's so many buildings. Just take a prayer shot, and I'm going to back out. Thought better of it. I don't want to get down that ramp and out in the open because I will quickly be machine gunned by the guys on the hill and the JT, the JAG-TIG 8.8. The JT 8.8. So a bit of a conundrum here. Nobody's really has any eyes, but the enemy team has better position. They've got the hill and they've got the JT spotting in the town. There's no real way to push into the town or push up on the east side of the board there without the JT 8.8 seeing you and the guys up on the hill taking you down. The question is, where's the fourth tank? Plus they've got artillery. That complicates things as well. We do have a Scorp. That's a heavy hitter. We got a couple heavies. The T-54 has good spotting, so we have a general advantage, but our positioning on the map is worse. And then there's the M445, so we finally find the fourth tank. He's hanging out there with the T-30. The 54 goes raging in, and I'm nowhere near able to support. I'm trying to lean back in here and maybe help them out with some shots. I needed to cut left, and Scorpion G gets the M445. But down goes the T-54, and that was bad. Surprised these guys aren't able to take down the T-30. The problem is they're not really in a position to do so. The T-30 is probably a bit hold down because the road curves a little bit right there, and those guys are going to have a hard time. There's some dips in the road there as well. Dips in the terrain. So now we have really given up map control. Come around back to here. I'm just not interested in walking out into the open with the T-30. T-30 is now the trump card. He's going to be extremely difficult to take down unless he makes a mistake. But we got 3 minutes and 42 seconds. The good news here is this is reasonably maneuverable enough. You can see that I've used quite a bit of the board, all of it on my side. And I won't say that I've run around a lot, but I've been able to reposition, get out of bad positions, and move to the next position where I was needed, falling back. So it's not completely incapable of that, but you do have to start early in some cases. And trying to get out of that 5-6 line cost me a hit from the IS because it's just not fast enough. So we got a really low hit point. Tiger 1, the IS-6, who doesn't seem to be really playing the game, and then that happened. I'm not really sure how, but that changed things. That was good to know. And that was the guy that was up on the hill. I assume he was trying to get off, or maybe he was trying to drive down in the river bottom down there. But he ends up dying. And I've got some hit points. And I know the T-30's over there, so it's unlikely with our heavies sitting over there that he's moved to the middle. So I'm probably not going to get hit here. It's possible that the JT moved into this area here, and I might get seen. But I'm hoping if I do, I'll get him lit, and those three will shoot. What I'm really pretty sure of is I can go over here and come up on the east side here through these bushes and hopefully find the JT 8.8 in the city somewhere. If I'm really lucky, he'll be right here and I'll kill him, but he doesn't seem to be. Now, I've already spammed all my APCR, so I'm going to definitely have to go for his lower plate or his side if I can get a shot like that. And here we go, and the Type 4 is telling him to just shoot his hole and not his turret. So maybe there was some buffoonery going on over there with where those guys were picking to shoot the T-30. Who knows, those was all long-range shots, so maybe they were just happened to be hitting the turret. So I believe the T-30 is in the corner, and now we see that the IS-6 has moved well forward and not died. So they have fallen back in some manner, and I'm doing the calculations thinking, all right, has this T-30 had enough time to get up on the hill? That would be very bad. The 8.8 probably has. if he started a while ago, he may actually be up there. So I'm taking a bit of a risk coming on in here. The T-30 will probably annihilate me with one shot, and if they both hit me, it's over. So this is a bit of a risk, but then I see the T-30 over there. That's good. Of course, he kills the Tiger 1. That's bad, and I'm hoping that these guys will be able to take him down while he's busy. Hopefully the 8.8 is looking at that fight. Good news is that the T-30 dies, and then I find him just sitting up here on the hill, and down he goes. We got a minute 5 to find the artillery. I don't eat a shot. My assumption is it was actually sent over to the other side when they started engaging the T-30. I didn't look at how the person died who died, but might have been by artillery or partially to artillery, and he's got to be in this corner. If he's up on the hill, I'm bumming. I'm never really going to get there, but there we go. We actually get this guy lit. He's not smart enough to try to get out of there and preserve any kind of capability to cause a draw, and I'll just come around here and go whatever, see if I can get the kill on him, and we get him down. Fantastic. 2,409, 3 kills, and a long game, 15 minutes of commentary, but pretty good example that this tank can be capable on the open maps if played carefully. It's got enough accuracy that it can do that long range stuff, but don't expect it to be extremely accurate, I guess, is what I'm saying there. Only bounced none. I only bounced none. I only took a couple of hits, I think, in there, but I didn't manage to bounce anything. But a decent result at 2409. Let's go to the third example. For the third example, we'll do a little bit of pushing here, kind of show you some of the armor capability, the ability to be a heavy. We're on El Haluf. We spawned in the south. It's an encounter battle. And we're headed up to the standard northwest brawling corner. Got an IS and a Tiger 1 with me on bottom tier. There's not a whole bunch of tier 8s up there. We'll come up here. We got the Lance and C up on the top. We got a lot of guys camping down there, so we're going to have to do a lot of work here. Good news is the Pantera runs down into the bottom, so that's one of their tier 8s basically taking themselves out of the fight. Tiger 1 decides to push. Not really wise, but he actually gets away with it. So I'll just anchor the corner. That's fine. Put some hits on the guy crossing. Slap into the stair. T-29 lost a lot of hit points doing anything. Come on, reload. Nope, he gets away. This guy's being very foolish. Put another shot into him. Tiger C takes some hits out in the open. So the enemy team's really kind of letting us get a HP advantage over here with less tanks and bait the shot from the IS. That's just good heavy work right there. Instead of coming out and aiming, just act like you're coming out and back up and see if you can't bait a shot and get a good bounce. So the IS is going to be a little more careful about this. T-29 and Tiger C are a concern. Unfortunately, I just missed that guy. Our ISM comes up here, but he's showing side armor, and he decides to go, and then he decides to not go. But my two guys in the corner are keeping these dudes honest, so just aim a little bit better and finally get a shot in on the ISM. Sorry, the IS, and the ISM bounces one, so he must have actually bounced it off the front. I go to APCR because now I'm facing this Oni. I want to start taking shots out of his front turret. Good news is they've sent some guys here, but not a whole bunch, and they don't seem to be too interested in pushing us, so it's a pretty even fight over here. So I'm going to look for that shot. Don't quite get it. There we go. The stair is being a little bit foolish, and I'll just prioritize him because I didn't have a good shot on the Oni. And now we'll push. So they come around the corner, they shoot. I'll angle. He misses, or maybe he was shooting at the ISM. And we'll just go and Tiger 1 goes down. And I'm not zinging forward at a high rate of speed, but I've got decent armor in here. And now we find the T-29. So I don't know how that worked. I just auto-aimed and fired at him, but it did work, so be happy about that, actually. Lorraine 42 hits me. Is that my own Lorraine 42? I don't know. Do they have a Lorraine 42? I think it was my own Lorraine 42 bounces me. And it's all over but the shouting now, right? Person's coming at us. Nice job on his part tracking me, but not enough, fella. Just come down here and put a shot into him. We'll just charge at him. He actually hits me. There goes that engine. Remember I said that was a big problem. Looking for that turret. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll just go into the turret. There we go. Sorry, looking for the hatch. Say whatever. I'll just go for the turret. Lance and C. YOLOs the guy and takes him down. And I am out an engine, which is a total bummer. This thing is extremely sluggish without an engine. I can't even make this corner, right? At full speed, I have to actually stop, and that's just awful. Slowly come around. Belanson's got their attention, so I think the IS is actually turned around, taking a look at us. And I do not have the oomph to take him down with one shot, so he actually lives through that. So he gets shot. GW Panther shoots him in the back. Down goes that guy, looking for clearance. There we go. Looking for clearance. And the Oni is not long for the game. And actually sneak one in on that guy. And that's it. They track down the Artie. He's sitting way up there. I don't know if I actually hit him. I have to look at the results, because I'm wondering if I actually hit him up in there. Unknown. I do fire into the bush. Oop, get right in front of the ISM. That could have taken me down. Alright, that's it. 3 examples of gameplay. Let's wrap it up. That is it for the review of the King Tiger 2C captured American German designed Tier 7 premium heavy tank. I like this tank. It's a balanced tank. It's a fun tank. It has just enough armor to be useful. If you play it right, it has just enough gun to be useful. If you play it right, and just enough mobility as a heavy anyway. If you play it right. It doesn't have any of the outsized advantages or disadvantages that a lot of the tanks have, and it's not just plain old better. People are doing well in it. I will tell you it's a good tank. It is not an overpowered tank. Pretty balanced. Pretty balanced. I do enjoy that tank. I like that it is a historical tank. It's got a story. It's interesting because it's in somebody else's tech tree. It's pretty much all the things that are great about World of Tanks. The little bit of dash of, well, I was going to say the dash of history. It's quite a bit of history, right? And it's several handfuls of it thrown in there, obviously, especially in the case of a World War II tank like this that has a story attached to it. That's all the best things about World of Tanks, and it's actually decently balanced at its tier. So, interesting way to get it. We'll see if there's more things like that, partnerships between Twitch and Wargaming and other things. There's been stuff like it in the past with movies, The Fury, other kinds of ideas. But as far as how you get one, this is fairly unique in World of Tanks. My only concern with it is how long this partnership lasts, and if there's ever a falling out or it stops, what happens, who owns the license to the tank, all that good stuff. But that's for a future day. As long as you've got Twitch Prime right now and you've linked your accounts, you're going to have access to the tank, and it's a pretty fun tank. And at that point, it's free, right? You're paying for Twitch Prime because you like it, or Amazon Prime if you're always having stuff mailed to your house like I am. And it's a free Tier 7 that comes with the deal. Alright guys, that's all I've got. Thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate all the support of the channel. We're rolling along. We will see you.